Good afternoon. You are tuned into The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. I was recording earlier, late this morning, and something happened. I'm not sure what happened. I picked up the phone, and there was some glitch, and then I decided to just move on to other things and come back to it when it was in me to do it. So here we are. So as I stated, my name is Nehru, and you're tuned into The Encourager. Purpose of the channel is to be just that and to do just that, to encourage, to uplift, to expand our awareness and our spiritual vision, okay, so that not only can we see the forest, but we can also see the trees, right? Because many people only see the trees or they only see the forest, right? So they're too far, like they have these huge, gigantic, grandiose things that they want to accomplish, which is great. I have grandiose things that I want to accomplish. Not grandiose like a materialistic gold palace, not like that, but yeah, certainly things that will contribute to society in a positive way, right? And help us grow. So yeah, we all have those things. We're born with those things. And speaking of being born, that is what I want to go over today. I want to speak on 3 or 4 different things that we start with, all right? And that's a good foundation. So when I reference being born or birthed, things that are a foundation. So I say being born, but I'm speaking of a spiritual, right? A spiritual birth. Not the one where you go in church and you say the Lord's Prayer or something. Not that. I'm talking about a spiritual enlightenment, not religiousness. That's not what I'm talking about. I remember my dad was a polygamist for 30-something years, but he also pastored churches. One of the things that he did tell me, so this is how bass-ackwards the church is, okay? So my mother, when we were growing up, she went to a Pentecostal church in Joliet, Illinois. In fact, it's still there today. Hopefully they've changed their ways. But back in the 80s, she was dedicated, as most of them are, extremely religious people. Right? They're the ones that have the Bible in the back window, but they're sleeping with the deacon's wife. I'm just saying. Okay? So, or the deacon sleeping with their wife. Who knows? Right? All that. Right? All that goes on. So, and again, I lived it because of my dad's choices. So I saw it firsthand how those things happen. Right? That is how the pastor ends up with a wife that belongs to someone else from the congregation, unfortunately. So, yes. So, I believe there are some foundational things that coming into a spiritual awakening, and the reason for that being kicked off are various different reasons. For me, it was the separation through a twin flame relationship that it was extremely apparent that it was time to go. And at that time, I had no idea about twin flame relationships or the difference between a soulmate and a divine counterpart and a twin flame. I knew nothing about that. I did know something about chakra meditation, only because I had just started, I think, in 2020. And so when I left in 2021, I was already well on my spiritual journey, my dark night of the soul, and I see that today, that there was, for me, because of who I am and how I'm made, there was no question that I was going to embrace that process. Now, along that process, throughout that process, and it was a months-long process, by the way, initially, actually, I moved out and I ended up sleeping at my office. Right? I had an office in Daytona Beach, Florida, which I'm no longer in Florida, actually. I moved to the other coast. But I had an office in Daytona Beach, Florida for several years, many years. And I ended up sleeping at that office for some time before finally getting a place that would accept me and my lovely, beautiful Cane Corso Sadie. So once I found a place, right? But that took a couple of months because that breed of dog, and she's professionally trained. I mean, I could stick my hand down her throat and she's not biting me, right? But people are ignorant. They listen to the news. They don't do their own due diligence. They take whatever the pastor says and they just run with it, like robots. You know what I mean? So, and that's how people generally are in their life. They're afraid to stand alone. They're afraid to stand alone in the middle of the desert and say, I'm out here by myself. I don't see anybody around me, but I don't care. You know, no, people are afraid to do that. Okay, all right. And so, for those of you who are not, that is going to be something that distinguishes you and the places that you go spiritually from those who are not willing to stand in that position. Okay. And so, because I am, yes, at the same time, I've dealt with things that that most would not. Perhaps some would say maybe even not make it through. So my dad took my first wife while I was in the military in Germany. And if you want to know more about that, by the way, and she stayed with him even after he got arrested and got sentenced to 44 to 66 years. She's still up there in Michigan somewhere, Detroit, Ohio, who knows where, somewhere. I haven't talked to her in 20 years, 20 years. So I have no idea what she's doing or where she's at. The same thing for the daughter that we had, who's now 20-something, 25, or, yeah. So I don't know where she is, right? And that doesn't bother me today. Again, that's that's staler than bread. You know, that energy and all that. That's so dead. It's nothing but just dry bones back there for all that stuff. But it took 3 years for me to get through that process because I was passionate about looking for my daughter and finding out where she was. And I didn't find out where she was until 2010, which was 7 years, actually. And 7's a very dominant number, or prominent number in my life. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is Stoicism. Okay? And so Stoicism, or being stoic, or of a stoic mind or disposition, basically means that you have come to understand the things you can control and the things you can't control. And with that understanding, you now have adjusted to only manage the things that you can manage, which is just the self. It's just the only thing that I can 100% control is me. We can't 100% control our dog, our kids. They prove it to us every day, all the time. Our husbands, our wives, our boss, our employees, our neighbors, our friends, our best friends, our ministers, our whoever. We do not have 100% control of anyone except self. That's it. Only yourself. So that is the first realization. And once an individual comes into that light, into that realization, then they understand, okay, so everybody has a will. That person over there, right, who just cut me off in traffic, right, and had me slam on my brakes and I spilled my coffee, you know what? I don't know what kind of day they're having, but I know I wasn't the one behind their steering wheel, so I have nothing to do with the way that they're driving. I can't control them, if I speed up to them and start flicking them off and honking my horn, what is that going to do? Right? That does nothing but lower your vibration, and then it puts a kink in the majority of the rest of your day, because then most people end up going into the office and posting something on social media or talking to their friends about it, right? Or coworkers, and that just expands the anger because they're going to join in with you. Oh, I hate that, blah, 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 blah. I just had somebody do that to me the other day, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was in that accident last week, blah, blah, right? It just, and there it goes, and there it goes, from one incident, right? And you could have started out your morning beautiful. You might have meditated, spent time in meditation and just soaking in the day, being grounded, getting grounded, right? You might have all the beautiful morning, and one thing happens. But that is how the enemy works. Because if you are not being chased, okay? If you are not being chased, you're stagnant. Okay? If you're not being chased, you're stagnant. Why? Because the enemy has no concern about the people who are just standing around, right? With their thumbs in their third point of contact. That's a military phrase. That's your butt, by the way. Your fourth point of contact. Sorry, that's your butt. So, right? So with their thumbs up their butt, you know, they're just sitting around, right? The enemy's not concerned about that. I served 8 years in the military. I can tell you, having been to war, I'm not concerned about the enemy. If I look over enemy lines and they're sitting over there and they're just like eating nachos, you know, I'm not. What am I concerned? What am I concerned about? They're not doing anything. They're distracted, right? And that's exactly what the enemy wants to get you, distracted, even though it comes through a human being who cut you off in traffic. So recognizing what we can control compared to what we cannot control. Okay? This goes into a scripture. I'm going to mention a scripture. Okay? I don't often quote scripture because the majority of it has been raped by man, and there are 45 books missing. If you don't believe me, look up the book of Jesus, look up the book of Adam and Eve, look up the book of the Cave of Treasures, look all of it up. Look it up, right? You'll find all of that information, right? And then you'll get into the Vatican and how they're holding information from us that they took from that book, right? Because there's an additional 45 plus books, right? They took all that information out, dumbed it down, raped it, and then presented it to the world as damaged goods. And then we ran with it, right? And every religion that carries that around, they're carrying a fraction of the truth. And I'm not afraid to say it. Every single one. Right? It's only a fraction of the truth. And I don't know about you. If you are a starseed, light worker, healer, empath, earth angel, if you are, you know for sure that there's more than what's in that Genesis to Revelation book, right? So, Stoicism, recognizing what we can control compared to what we can't. And we can only control ourselves 100%, right? And that is really only true to a degree. I mean, you can get intoxicated or take drugs that actually takes your control away, right? Or at least your conscious control, right? Takes that away. So even in that can be manipulated, okay? But essentially, we're just responsible for ourselves, okay? I know you'd like to have your kids think you control them 100%, but they prove to you every day, no you don't, Mom. No you don't, Dad. I don't care what you do. I'm going to make a decision of my own that's going to go against what you tell me at some point today. I'm going to do it. Watch me. Right? They prove it every single day. Okay? So, and it would be good for them to learn these things. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what an 8-year-old could do with understanding, and they could understanding what it means to be stoic, going through peer pressure in school and having to go through high school and all of that today? Can you imagine? the benefits to a child for this, that's off the chart. You can't measure that. You can't measure that level of self-confidence. You can't measure that. Okay? All right. So the other part, another part, not the other part, there's more than two. Another part of Stoicism is not caring, right? And this isn't being emotionless, which is a common mistake or assumption that many make. So Stoicism is not being emotionless. However, it is refusing to function from an emotional state. Okay? So, picture, I don't know, I think of Morgan Freeman's face for some reason. I don't know, because he seems to just have kind of a, I don't know, people tell me my natural disposition, if I'm not laughing, my natural disposition is don't say shit to me, right? My natural disposition is serious. It's just the way my face is. I'm not frowning. I'm a very happy guy. And even when I look like that, someone comes over to talk, hey, how you doing? How's everything going, right? I perk right up, right? But my natural disposition, right, is one of do not approach me. And I've heard women say it, right? That's probably helped me avoid a couple of monsters out there, right? And I've heard friends tell me, and like adults, even when I was young, you know, but that's just my face. That's just the way it looks naturally as it's sitting, right? So I think of like Morgan Freeman, and he has kind of like that, I think anyway, that he kind of has that don't try to feed me bullshit kind of face. You know what I mean? Like, don't come at me unless you're coming right kind of thing. And that is part of being stoic, letting people know that you are very approachable, but don't come to me, right, with some junk. You keep all that trash and stuff all over there in your low vibration headquarters, wherever you function. Don't bring that over here, right? And so that is what I think about when I think about not caring when it comes to Stoicism and what that means in reference to Stoicism, right? Because you don't want to be unapproachable, but you do want people to take you seriously, right? I say this about divine, about the Creator. I say he has a sense of humor, but he's not joking. Okay? So he has a sense of humor, but he's not joking. Right? Same thing in Stoicism. Right? I think a pretty good sense of humor, right? I'm actually kind of a clown, and was that in school often, and I talked too much in school, at least when I was small. In my teenage years, I started going into hermit functions, I think, or something. I started to get quiet at some point, but yes. So you don't have to shut the world out, stop talking to everybody. You don't have to do any of that, right? But you need to set a precedent. You need to set the standard for, this is how I am now. And if you want to step to me, if you want to have a relationship with me, well, that doesn't matter what type of ship it is. If you want to be in cahoots with me, this is how you have to come. Because otherwise, yeah, it's not happening. Because I'm protecting my energy. I'm protecting my heart, my mind, my spirit, my energy. I'm protecting me, right? And everything that I've been working on up to this point, this lifetime. Okay. So, Stoicism. Not caring, but also not being emotionless is another part of Stoicism. It's also a good idea to get a routine when it comes to Stoicism and being that. Morning routine, evening routine involving meditation, stretching, walking, laying out in the grass, whatever it is for you. Okay? So, today is all that matters. This is another mindset that goes along with a Stoic mindset. So a Stoic mindset understands that today is all that matters, right? You can't worry about what happened to yesterday, and anxiety only builds what tomorrow's bringing. Okay? Yesterday is worry, tomorrow is anxiety. So enjoy today. It's a present. It's a gift. That's why it's called a present. All right? So we enjoy today. Okay? Tomorrow doesn't matter. And in fact, that's scripture. That's the scripture I was going to mention, actually. Take no thought for tomorrow, for sufficient are those things. All the worries, all the bills, all the kids, all the worry, whatever tomorrow's events are, they're already laid out. Okay? And here is a side note. Time is an illusion. Okay? Time is an illusion. And I'm going to prove my point. So, have you ever experienced deja vu? Yes, I have many times. Time is an illusion. That is how it happens. People don't believe that you can time jump or timeline jump, but yes, you can, because otherwise, how would you be able to explain deja vu? I've had one deja vu experience since I've been on the East Coast, where I am, in this very city. A couple of weeks ago, as I was out for an evening walk. All right? So, this happens. It's possible because it's real. Okay? So time is an illusion. This is why sometimes time, in your opinion, speeds up and then slows down. Why? Because it's an illusion. Right? Forever beings. Forever beings. Right? Your spirit is. It's forever. Okay? Right? I touched already on not being able to control anyone. And the last thing I'm going to mention or speak on is science, and why science does not nullify or negate divine order or divine purpose. So I'm going to speak on something that is a very, 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 very touchy subject. And that is gender. Okay. And again, I'm going to preface this, okay, by saying this. Any of you who disagree with me, there are more than enough channels on YouTube for you to select somebody else, okay? You don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You chose to click on the channel. I did not. I call that divine timing. You might call it something else after you hear what I got to say, okay, about genders, okay, and what society's doing today as opposed to what was meant to be. So, the first realization, God versus science, is that science is man-made based on discovery. Okay? Divine source, Yahweh God, is miraculous, miraculous, right? So he does things that man can't understand. Everything that man does, man can understand. That's the difference between Yahweh God and man. That's the difference. Man has limited in their feudal mind. Man has limited capabilities. Only when you go internal, and there are those who understood this before my time, or at least before my time, this lifetime. So Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, many people understood this, right? That yeah, we're energy. We're not fat, meat, and blood. Okay, that's not who we are. Okay? So when it comes to the whole gender thing, and again, you are more than welcome to have your own opinion. I fought for this country for its freedom for 8 years, and I fought for you to have your own opinion. Let me have my own, because I fought for you to have yours. So don't come at me with that shit, because it'll get dismissed. Okay? And then I'll have to, yeah. We all have our own opinions, and this is mine, based on based on my revelation and my relationship with divine source today. Okay? So, the Father doesn't make any mistakes. Right? And I want you to look at something that man tries to control, but man F's up every time he tries to control it, and that's Mother Nature. Mother Nature functions in a perfect timing without man's hands. The flowers that grow, the leaves that fall and grow back, everything's perfect timing. Why? Because it's miraculous, not man-made. Okay? Big difference. So if someone was born with a penis, that individual is a male. They need to use the male restroom for the rest of their life. That is who they are. If they are born with a vagina, they need to use the women's restroom for the rest of their life. Okay? Because God doesn't make any mistakes. Okay? Individuals who are out here lying, right, and deceiving, right, the entire world by declaring that something like that is acceptable. And again, we all have a free will. I can go out there and get that done to myself if I wanted to. Okay? But we have to understand that that is their choice. And that's where I'm going. Okay? Again, back to the Stoicism. We have to understand that's their choice. I'm not going to walk up to someone who's a transvestite. I don't use politically correct terms. I call it like it is because politically correct terms just cloud stuff. That's all politically correct terms do. Oh, that's not nice. Who cares about being nice? You know what I mean? If you're offended, find out why you're offended. Go work on yourself. You know what I mean? Why are you offended? Because I said transvestite or homosexual, because gay means happy. Don't get mad at me. Go check out Webster's dictionary. Go look at it. First definition of those words, not the 8th definition, right? Okay? Because as you go down those definitions, more and more convoluted, more and more watered down, right. So no, first definition, and that's a word, first definition. Right? So, yes. So science does not negate what the Creator has done. And nature is a perfect example. It is in perfect rhythm. If we were 1 inch away, 1 centimeter further away from the sun, we'd freeze. The planet would freeze. If we were 1 inch closer, 1 centimeter closer, 1 millimeter closer, we'd burn up. Why? Perfect timing. That is Him. So if we step back and only manage ourselves and let go of the things that we can't control, guess what happens? Those things start to fall in line. Okay? And so through the dark night of the soul and my spiritual awakening and ascension, I began to see that this is actually true. So, again, as I always say, I like to use myself as an example if I've been through the situation personally, because I just think that's just the best example that you could ever give, right? And then it's personalized, okay? So, through my twin flame journey, okay, I came to realize, because at first, it was ugly. When I say ugly, as I mentioned, I was a tax accountant for the last 13 years in Florida. And, well, I wasn't a tax accountant. I had various positions, but ultimately, I mean, I had the title of tax accountant and then the two small firms that I started. So, with that, I remember just I remember trying to wipe my tears, sobbing tears, before a client walked into the office. I was distraught. I was just ripped apart. I can truly say today, think about this. I think I've honestly been in love 3 times in my life. Okay? However, the last one, the twin flame relationship, the other 2 relationships doesn't even compare to that. And I mean that in both a great way and in a scary way, you know. Those other 2 relationships do not even compare because of the dynamic when it comes to a twin flame relationship and them being the other half of who you are. Okay, so divine feminines, divine masculines. If you are the divine feminine, your divine masculine has to do their own work. You need to step away from them, and you need to do your own work, right? So this is what I found, and I didn't plan on going into this, but I'm on it, so why not? So when it comes to twin flame maturing, right? And it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about whether or not you get back together and all of that, because sometimes you do, most of the time you don't, just because the dynamic in the relationship, it's so challenging to balance out the divine feminine and divine masculine when you are a mirror image of the individual that you're looking at. You know what I mean? So they're mirroring back to you what you're sending to them in a twin flame relationship. Soulmates and divine counterparts do not have that energy exchange. Okay? So, and most people are familiar with soulmates. Most people have no idea what a divine counterpart is, and most people have a misunderstanding of what even a soulmate is. A soulmate and a divine counterpart or divine spouse, yeah, very, very different. And I'm not gonna say you can't meet them. You can meet them anywhere. I'm not gonna say where you can't meet them. You can meet them anywhere. I met her through a mutual friend. Okay, so. Yes, so what I realized was at first, right, all my sobbing, I spent 3 days under covers, I didn't eat, I only drink water because I'm a kidney transplant recipient, 7717, thank you divine source, Yahweh God, and obviously I want to be a good steward of that, right, so, yes. Other than that, I didn't do nothing for 3 days. In my office, on an air mattress, in the front of my desk. That's where I was for 3 days, okay? So I was devastated. Okay? But I knew, because I know who I am, I knew that I would get over that part of it. It was just a matter of letting all of that out. And crying is good. Release that. Do it. Cry. Do it. Right? And it doesn't matter how old, whatever it is. Do it. Right? I had an American bulldog. His name is Brutus. Beautiful. Reverse brindle and white paws. Big dog. Probably 120. 130, big, beautiful dog, and had him until he was 15, right? And he's such a good dog, and so he passed, and I keep a journal, and in my journal, a friend gave me some roses when he passed, and in my journal here, this particular journal, actually it just happens to be here because this is the one that I'm writing in currently. When he passed in 2019. She gave me 12 dozen roses, you know. She was just comforting me, okay? And so I have one of those roses taped in my journal, and it has a message up there, right, for Brutus, okay? So I might still, and that was in 2019, right? I look at his pictures, you know, that I've posted on social media or what have you, if I'm going through old stuff, right? And I still might shed a tear. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Let that process happen. That's a good thing. So I did. But I knew I was a soldier. I knew eventually, okay, Kevin, you can't keep, okay, you can't keep doing it. 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 I was, right? And so eventually, like I do, I got up out of my foxhole, laced my boots back up, went back at it. Okay? So if you are in a situation like that today and you are needing help in getting through that dark period, right? If you're going through the dark night of the soul, or you're going through your spiritual awakening and ascension, and you're just, it's helpful if you can speak to someone who's already been through the process, or at least ask questions to that individual. I wish I knew someone who had been through that when I was going through mine, but I do not. And naturally, around me, as far as the people that I am aware of today, I still don't know anyone. I know people online that I'm connected with, but I don't know anyone, that's physically around me today, or that I would consider a close friend. Okay, so anything, just reach out, put your comment down there in the comment section, your question or what have you, and if I can help, obviously I will, and if not, then perhaps I could point you in the direction that will be best for you. Okay, so science versus God. Okay, He releases the information to us. Okay. There was something else I was going to mention about the twin flame journey. So what I came to realize after I got done sobbing and I was starting to come out of that funk, what I realized, which is necessary, by the way, what I realized was, as I was sitting there, because she was running, so the divine, in a twin flame relationship, the divine masculine is the one that initially is the runner. And the divine feminine is the one that ends up chasing. Okay? So, and divine masculine, feminine, doesn't matter. A guy, a man, can be a divine masculine or a divine feminine, and the same thing with a woman. We all have both energies. Okay? So that part doesn't matter. But, in my case, and in our case, okay, I am the divine feminine, and she is the divine masculine. So, she was running, and running hard, and running fast, and I did not know why, and why she was ghosting me, and why she was, I did not understand all of those things. However, those of you who have watched My Wife and Kids, you guys remember the little kid, Franklin? However, right? What I came to realize was, me chasing her only made her run faster. And you'll see it. If you speak, you want to know if someone's telling you the truth about how to go about healing a twin flame relationship. If they do not tell you that your chasing worsening the situation, and when you stop chasing, then the divine masculine can be left alone to do their own healing, which is half of the key. Again, half of you. Okay? So when you go internal, and by the way, the divine masculine energy is your shadow divine feminine. Okay? So the things that the divine masculine is dealing with in a twin flame relationship are the things that the divine on the outside, right, are the things that the divine feminine is refusing to see or does not see from childhood wounds or what have you that needs to be healed. So once the divine feminine decides that they're going to go within and start do the healing work, then the divine masculine starts to wake up. Okay? And when they start to wake up, that doesn't mean you're going to be together physically. That just means they've begun their healing process, because it's like a dog and a cat, right? If a dog chases the cat is going to run, and it's going to run and run and run and run and run and run. It's going to keep running. It's not going to stop, because it doesn't want to get caught by the dog, right? Right? And so with energy, it's the same thing. Do not chase that individual, that divine masculine. Leave them alone. Go stoic, right? Go internal. Start working on your crown chakra, your third eye chakra, so you can start getting spiritual downloads, so you can know what you need to do to go about healing yourself, whether that's egg cleanses, candle work. You could use water. There's sage, obviously sage cleansing and things that you could do. You could use incense. You could use oils if you want to use essential oils. There's all sorts of things you could do. Okay, but you need to work on your shadow side in order for you to heal that entire situation, both sides, feminine and masculine. And then, like I said, the masculine feels free. Oh, wow, I don't feel that any... Wait, they stopped calling me. Oh, wait a minute. They're not texting me anymore? No emails? They're not driving by the house? They're not coming by the office? They left the job? We were working at the same job. Wait, they quit? What? They quit? Weren't they up for a promotion? Right? Because when the divine feminine stops chasing and they start to make choices that are for their good, regardless of what the masculine does. And that's the key. You have to, for a second, months, however long it takes, you have to not care what they do. Okay? You have to not care what the divine masculine does throughout this process. Because if you do, it's a yo-yo effect. So when you start reaching out, what are they doing? I missed them, blah, 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 right? And you go into this little lull, right? This little valley, right? During your ascension process, right? And I did that, right? And in part, mine was because there was spell work being done, right? And so often in these situations, there is spell work being done. Not 100% every time, but often there is, because that is the reason why the divine masculine is being drawn away from the divine feminine, right? Is because of witchcraft and spell work from someone else or themselves. Who knows? Meaning the divine masculine. So, so what I did was, once I came to that realization that, oh, I don't need to chase her. That's not cute, pretty, flirtatious, or sexy. Okay? None of those, right? And it's really, and you think about it, I haven't been to a bar in well over 20 years. There's no need for me to go into places like that, really. I wouldn't mind like some lounge type of thing, or a wine venue or something, but a club or something like that is, I'm eons, like, maturity wise beyond, like, I don't need to go there. Okay. Where was I going with that point? So you even see it in those situations on a very simplistic 3D level. So the guy who is desperate in those places, in those clubs, right? Who's desperate, he doesn't get the girl, right? That dude sitting over there, minding his own business, paying her no attention. She goes over to him. That dude who was begging might be better looking, might have more money, whatever, blah, 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 right? But he's desperate. She's desperate. And that is unattractive. So don't chase. Divine feminines do not chase. Okay? So when they are healed and you have healed, then things will come around if they're meant to come back around. And I do believe that there's always closure to that chapter. Whether or not you two continue on to be a family and all of that, again, we all have free will. One might want to and the other might not. You guys, that's an individual thing. You got to sort that out. So I decided that I was going to stop reaching out to her, stop calling her, stop thinking about her. And in fact, being an alchemist, this is what I did. And I would use verbal. So my throat chakra, for me, my strongest chakras, okay, are my throat chakra, my crown chakra, okay, and my third eye chakra. My healing power is my unconditional love. Okay, that is what allows me to be a healer and to have healed myself of many ailments and avoid surgeries and all sorts of things. right? And I would have avoided surgery with a kidney transplant, but that's not possible. Technology's not there today, I guess, to do that. You insert a kidney by osmosis. It doesn't work like that. Not yet. So, yes. So anyway, feeling like. So yes. So that's what I decided to do. So when I started alchemizing that energy that kept reminding me of us, right? Even though I was trying to pull away from it, and I was trying to stop once I came to the realization that I was chasing. And that was really, really bad. So the more you chase, the worse you feel, by the way. So if you find yourself, what is going on? I don't understand. You find yourself in that situation, you're chasing. Stop. Okay? Stop. All right? So what I realized was that once I realized that I was an alchemist, I decided, here's a trick quiz question. It's not a trick quiz question. I guess maybe. Who is the most well-known alchemist of all time? I say best known, not the one who maybe done the most. I'm just best known. Who's the best known alchemist of all time? Yeshua. Water to wine, fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and a couple loaves of bread, and he did that a couple times. Yeshua, the Christ himself, Jesus, is the best known alchemist today in the world. Okay? So those of you who think it's demonic or whatever else, tell the dude who turned water into wine. Tell him he's evil. I dare you. What I decided to do was during my meditations and things, I would verbalize, right? And I would say, I don't care. That's not my problem. That's for her to deal with. Okay? And what it did was it allowed me to free myself from wondering, what was she doing? What's going on? Why hasn't she returned my call? Why hasn't she returned my email? Why haven't she returned my text message, my Facebook post, my whatever, right? All of that. Why haven't she written me back? Anything, right? It removed that energy because I started to alchemize that. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with memories, right? We have a memory for a reason. In large part, I believe it's because Holy Spirit doesn't like repeating himself. That's just me. But, so, you can turn these situations around by simply focusing on yourself without regard for whatever the other individual is doing. And I don't mean in an ugly way. I don't mean like F you. I don't mean like that kind of energy. I just mean like a shoulder shrug. Like, oh well, I'm out. You want to do that? Deuces. And just walk away. Okay? And go work on yourself. And you will see the magic that happens. Okay? And when I say magic, again, that's not implying that you two will get back together. That is saying that you become completely healed, and then you completely awaken. And then you really don't care what they do. Then you really don't care. Right? And you get further and further away from that energy every single day. Okay? And at some point, it could be months or years. At some point, they will reach back out to you. And then you guys have a discussion at that time. But that time is divine time. And if we chase, then we are trying to make it happen. And if we're not taking any thought for tomorrow, if we're not taking thought for tomorrow, then we're not concerned about time because we understand that time is an illusion. And we're enjoying this day, 9/26/23, right? So, I hope this has been helpful in some way to those of you who are listening. Again, if you're wanting to have a conversation about how to get through this dark night of the soul or spiritual awakening twin flame journey, feel free to reach out to me through the comment section in the video. You've been tuned into The Encourager. My name is Nehru, and be encouraged as always, and enjoy your day.